Hello everybody, I'm Andy.
And I'm Mark.
And this is episode 200 on our 4th birthday of Strange Stuff podcast.
I hope you've counted right, Andy, because I don't really trust your maths.
It's close, it's plus or minus.
100.
Plus or minus 10. But I mean, it's close enough. If I'm out, I'm only out by one. But I think even episode 100 was approximate.
Iffy.
Yeah.
But doesn't it actually show somewhere when we post something somewhere? Doesn't it say episode? Oh, that's what you say.
That's what I do. That's my
So
job.
you can just cheat. It could be 27.
Yes, exactly. And cheating is quite a lot of what we're going to talk about today. But before we get there, bad news, Ozzy Osbourne.
Yes. What was remarkable was, didn't he give a concert a couple of weeks ago?
Yes, and he had more lined up, I think.
And what did they do? Wheel him on the stage, or was he reasonably bouncy?
I mean, he's been in a very bad way health-wise.
Yeah, for a long time. Yeah.
But he's always been able to sort of stand up and get it done. I mean, fair play to him. He had a damn good innings and a damn good life.
Absolutely. We hope.
I know that he definitely enjoyed. Oh fuck! He definitely enjoyed his life.
What's that? Your telephone?
No, my mouse.
Oh my God! Talk about professional production.
Look, I have a problem. I have an
I
issue
know.
with my
I've been
mouse
telling you
because
for
this
years.
is my mouse mat. So I have to balance my mouse on the fucking arm of my chair, and every time I move my elbow, the mouse hits the floor.
Can't you just close the door to the cats? Is that not allowed?
What? You don't ever close a door on a cat.
Clearly. No,
Cats will not tolerate that kind of behaviour.
no, you're right. So Ozzy Osbourne has gone. What's his daughter's name? Linda. Kelly Osbourne. She's a bit of a musician, isn't she?
No.
What does she do? Why do I know her name? Or not know her name, actually.
I mean...
Is she a celebrity of some description?
Only because of the Osbourne reality show.
Ah, that's right. They did a Kardashian number, didn't they?
Well, they did it. I think they did it before the Kardashians. I might be wrong.
With Sharon. I remember the wife's called Sharon.
Yeah. She's pretty famous in her own right.
For?
She's basically Simon Cowell's number 2 on the judging panel of who's got talent and who hasn't.
Is that right?
In America as well, I think. She's made a fortune out of it.
Oh, well, I've never seen it, so I must have done. I must have done, surely.
I've never ever watched it. I've seen some stupid clips on YouTube of funny stuff or surprising stuff.
Paul Potts.
Who the fuck is Paul Potts?
Paul Potts was the guy who was a BT telephone salesman or something like that. And he said, I'm going to sing opera. And he looked pretty nondescript, let's put him like that. And I'll tell you what, he had the audience in tears. It was absolutely phenomenal. And
do you know how easy it is to get
an audience in tears?
Ignorant people in tears.
Oh my
God, that's so beautiful.
Yeah, well, that's a genuine response. How many times did Ozzy Osbourne get people in tears other than the bat that he...
All the time. All the time. Ozzy could have you crying with laughter, crying with happiness.
That was one thing I did watch on YouTube, I assume. Paul Potts.
Ozzy Osbourne?
No, not Ozzy Osbourne. I can't even speak. I'm so exhausted. Have you got 29 degrees today, or is it even hot in Skellefteå?
Oh, it's mad here. I can tell you. Alexa, what's the temperature?
Right now, it's 26 degrees Celsius. Today, expect a high of 32 degrees.
32
degrees. Holy schmoses. So I reckon we must be hotter than Nice.
I don't know, but I can tell you tomorrow I am going boating.
Who do you know who's got a boat, or is it a rowing boat?
No, we're going in blow-up rubber dinghies, and we're basically going to float down the river with beer.
That sounds like a great idea.
It is a great idea. Fuck knows where we're going to end up, but apparently someone will come and pick us up.
Oh, so you've actually booked an organised trip, have you?
I don't know exactly how organised you would call this. I got a phone call yesterday saying, "Do you like water?" I went, not to drink. I goes, "Okay, we're going boating on Friday." I said, I don't know. Blow up rubber dinghy, get in where I live and see where we end up. I went, "I'm in."
It is good fun. It depends how. I mean, obviously, it's very low tide at the moment because it's in the middle of the summer, so you might not get very far at all, actually.
Well, it
You
doesn't
might run
matter.
aground within 20 feet.
It'll be a nice day out.
Absolutely. No,
As long as I don't fucking drown, of course.
can you swim?
Yeah, but I mean, having said
Oh, of
that,
course you can swim. You're a diving instructor.
having said that, I haven't. Well, I'm not a diving instructor. Let's get
Oh, you're not?
this.
I thought you were a diving instructor.
No, I got certified up to rescue diver.
So what do you mean? A rescue diver is less qualified than a diving instructor?
Yeah, rescue diver doesn't mean what it says. It's not like it
You
doesn't mean what
rescue
it says on
people.
the tin. I don't go down to submarines like the Kursk and save Russian soldiers who are trapped 400 meters underwater.
Who didn't get saved in the end? I don't think anybody survived that, did they?
It was impossible to save them.
Yeah.
Some places are unreachable. Anyway, not the point. The point, I can't remember what the point was.
No, we were just talking about 32 degrees and that you were going boating tomorrow, which sounds very un-Andy-like.
No, but I mean, I need to get out in this sunshine. I am fully aware that I spend way too much time in front of this computer,
Be
especially in this
careful.
weather.
Absolutely, but you better be careful, Andy, because you can burn very easily up, down,
I
wherever.
lived in Greece, mate.
Yeah, but
There's a bit of black in this one.
you idiot. I'll tell you what, next Thursday, whenever we do the recording, I don't want to see you ruby red, like a beetroot.
No, I know you can burn. Even I can burn, which is fucking strange to me because when I did live in Greece, there was no such thing as SPFs. I mean, we just basically went out, spent the day on the beach or in a beach bar, and then went home brown, and that was it. And we just got browner and browner and browner.
Global warming, my old friend. It's the ozone layer that's being depleted that
That
lets
has
more
been
sunlight through.
proven to be a hoax, the ozone layer hole. It was proven to be bullshit, the same as most other scientific fucking facts.
What do you mean, proven by who? Your mate. Your mate who you
finally
bumped into at the
admitted-
pub.
That the alleged hole in the ozone might actually always have been there and it serves a purpose.
What's that? To let people escape?
Yeah,
Let Elon Musk get out to Mars.
to let the bees out.
So what's your take on this Epstein malarkey that's still rumbling along? Quite
Do you know
got
what?
a head of steam on it, that's for sure.
There's no point in fucking stressing about the alleged client list of Epstein, especially if you're trying to pin something on Trump, because there is enough historical evidence proven that Trump is a paedophile fucking molester and abuser. Why don't they just use that to indict him for something instead of trying to get an alleged address book out of Ghislaine Maxwell?
I don't know if you're allowed to say that, Andy, but what do
I'm
you mean?
allowed to say whatever I want, and anyway, it's proven. It's
What do you
fucking
mean it's-
proven.
What's proven? I
Trump-
mean, this is interesting. What young
Now-
girls I understand, but not very young girls like Epstein.
How about 14? How about 14? How about when Trump set up his modeling agency? And I haven't got this research in front of me, but I have read this and I have looked at it. And
Yeah, he was looking at the girls in the changing room.
He wasn't just looking, he kept going in the changing room at every given opportunity. He also imported girls and forced them to work on tourist visas. He exploited the fuck out of them, promised them $75,000 a year, paid them $5,000, claiming that the rest was taken away as expenses. He was a fucking slaver. He was a fucking slaver and an abuser and a sex pest.
Don't mention this to Robin. You might upset him a bit.
All the evidence is there. Fucking charge him with something. He did exactly the same as Epstein, just in a different... He used the same fucking business model.
Modus operandi.
Yeah, of trapping young girls and then forcing... I mean, even his wife, Ivanka, whatever.
No, Melania.
Melania. She was brought over on a tourist visa to audition for one of his fucking model agency things.
And then she was given an Einstein visa.
A what visa?
And I think it was something like an Einstein visa. People that are so important to the country that they bypass all the rules. And that's what Trump organised for Melania. And
because she had an amazing rack. I mean, what else has she got to offer?
What do you mean? She's a very smart girl. Smart enough to marry Trump. Smart enough to marry Trump.
I think it was a case of either marry it and benefit or just be held in bondage and get abused by it.
Well, that might be true. Now, here's an interesting fact. I don't know if it's true at all. How tall is Baron Trump? You know, the 18-year-old?
I have no idea.
I think he's about 7 foot tall. Please tell me
he's a fucking midget.
No, he's 7 foot tall or something.
Damn it. It would be so much funnier if he was a fucking midget. 5'2". Judging by the size of his hands, I'd say he's hobbit-sized.
I'm going to ask the question, how tall is Baron... Oh, and the second one that comes... This is ridiculous. So I put in how tall is... The first one that comes up, I've never heard of. Sabrina Carpenter?
Nope.
Never heard of her. The second one is Donald Trump.
Yeah, because you're being listened to.
Well, of course we are. Hang on, how do you spell Baron, not Boron?
B-A-R-R, I'm guessing.
Is it? No, yeah, how tall is Baron Trump? 2 meters. He's quite tall, that lad. Holy shit. Donald Trump is 190.
Well,
that's quite tall, you know.
He's just a bigger wanker than I thought he was then.
He's quite tall to have a little mushroom willy, isn't he? You would have imagined it would be a little bit in proportion. And tiny hands. Exactly. Anyway,
he's a freak as well. I mean, when he was, from what I've read, allegedly, when he was at these various sex parties, he had some girl sent over to him to wank him off, basically, and he insisted that she wear fucking rubber gloves.
I would. I think it was her that was doing the insist. Exactly.
I would insist on it. She was 14, by the way, in her testimony.
I think we're going to get... I think we're going to get arrested because I'm countering all of this by saying...
You can't arrest me in Sweden for saying something about someone in America. You can't do that.
I think you can.
Oh, yeah? Try it. Try and extradite me, you wankers.
What? You've got the resources to stand up to a US government lawsuit.
They're going to extradite me for what? What crime have I possibly committed except disrespect the president? Fuck you.
No, it's called something.
All sorts of fucking world leaders.
Hang on, it's called slander, isn't it?
That is not a federal fucking offence, or certainly not an international offence.
Oh, I think it might be.
As a hitman, you might be able to extradite me, but for calling the president a wanker, fuck off.
Oh dear, poor fellow. Well,
anyway,
not poor fellow.
Talking about wankers, and we need to get into this, otherwise it's going to be a 9-parter.
We can't have a two-parter, 200 episode, or is it going to be a two-parter?
I don't want it to be, which is why we're going to get into it.
All right, we'll start bloody telling the story then.
Okay, so what are we going to talk about? I hear you
Cheating.
ask. What?
You said cheating in the beginning.
I said there will be some cheating. Now, we're going to talk about a lie.
No.
We're going to talk about the biggest lie perpetrated on the people of the entire fucking planet
Oh no, we're not going
in
environmental.
2020. We're going to talk about the scamdemic and COVID.
Oh no.
Yes.
You can't. That's just such bollocks.
Yes, that's my point. And because I call it the scamdemic, people listening will probably know which side of the fence I'm falling on.
Oh my God. I never guessed that it was going to be something as your nonsensical stuff as the scamdemic. Is that what you're calling it?
Well, you know, you can't really call it a pandemic because anything with a 99.9% survival rate is definitely not a pandemic.
Where did you get the 99.9%?
That is accepted scientific fact. Even experts agree on fucking 99.9% survival rate. And
I mean,
besides,
you know I'm going to have to pick you up on everything
yeah, but
you say now.
you can't stop me on every sentence, otherwise we're never going to get
Well,
this.
no, it is going to be on every sentence if you talk nonsense.
But also, any fucking virus, any illness that you need to take a test for to find out if you've got it cannot possibly be that fucking dangerous in the first place.
What?
If you have to take a test to find out if you've got a fucking disease, it's a lie, isn't it? Also, those PCR tests don't work, but we'll go into all that.
Well, that's just a nonsensical statement from the word go. It depends how serious the virus
The whole thing
is.
was a lie. And let's go back to the beginning when we talk about where the alleged virus came from. Now, 4 years after the outbreak in the Chinese city of Wuhan, what do we actually know about the SARS-CoV-2 virus? We were presented at the outset with two competing theories, either natural origin spillover from animals to humans or the much pushed wet market bat fucking nonsense, and the other one, which was an accidental lab leak. But from the very start, there was a cadre of elite scientists.
The cadre.
Elite scientists.
Why do you have to put they were elite scientists? You don't
They
have to
were
put them in
fucking
there.
charlatans and liars.
You said, well, who's the health minister in the US at the moment?
Another
Kennedy.
charlatan.
No, you sound like him. You're in the same team.
Well, he's a good guy, obviously. But these guys argued that the evidence overwhelmingly favoured a natural origin, which is bullshit. And with comparable fervour, they dismissed the possibility that it was leaked from a lab as an outright conspiracy theory. Now, when someone outright dismisses something as a conspiracy theory, you need to take a closer look. Now, with a few...
I don't think people were that bothered where it came from at the beginning. They were bothered with dealing with it.
They were pushing the agenda that it was China's fault. It was very much an agenda being pushed that it was all down to China and we were being encouraged to hate on China.
But to whose benefit?
To governments who want to fucking start a war of some kind, either trade or physical.
Well, it can't have...
They've fed up with Russia. They're just turning on China. China is going to be the biggest economy in the world if it's not already, and they don't like that.
Yeah, but surely, so what you're saying is that in spite of the reasons you give, they absolutely failed because China didn't suffer other than from the victims of the pandemic in any way, shape or form.
No, and they're too big to fail. Now, with a few notable exceptions, mainstream media and the larger scientific community
In inverted commas again.
nodded in agreement. But the lab leak theory was debunked, according to Vanity Fair, by a right-wing...
Vanity Fair?
Yes.
That famous scientific journal, Vanity Fair.
Absolutely as scientific as the wankers.
Not Nature, but Vanity
Fair. But they called the coronavirus conspiracy. They called it the coronavirus conspiracy. And Facebook, these fucking slags, even started banning posts for suggesting that the virus may have been manufactured in a lab. Now, when you've got that kind of censorship going on, you know that there's something behind it. It's not just because they're trying to stop the spread of misinformation.
Hang on a second.
Because there's so much misinformation in everyday life out on Facebook in the first place, they can't possibly.
But I don't remember. There was constant speculation throughout the whole of the pandemic that it started in China. But that was constant.
Yes, but
there was no
always,
ban on that.
Yes, but they said it started from the wet market and transmitted from a bat. Not that it came from a lab.
No one said anything categorically. They were speculating.
But they would. No,
yes,
Mark,
no, you're getting confused.
I have been researching this. You have not.
I know.
Please
but I don't...
do not fucking jump in with your opinion, because I will take your opinion and put it in my bin.
That's right, because opinions don't matter.
Now, 4 years afterwards.
When are we now? What year?
4 years after the outbreak, so 2024?
Or 3, yep. Starting 19.
The narrative began to crack.
Oh, dear.
It was always a lie. And one of the most consequential lies of the 21st century, because like all great lies, it perfectly inverted the truth. The evidence supporting any kind of natural spillover has always been very thin. Conversely, the evidence pointing to a lab leak has always been very compelling and has grown substantially more persuasive with time.
So,
go on.
Oh, no, carry on. No, you carry on. No,
a coalition of elite scientists and complicit media outlets have proven remarkably effective in suppressing the truth, but in recent months, as congressional investigations have intensified, honest scientists and journalists have begun challenging the false consensus as new revelations have tipped the scales towards a lab leak even further.
Yeah, but hang on a second. That is the whole basis of scientific approach. As new information comes forward,
the information
people are willing
there.
to change their opinion.
The information was always there. It was being covered up for a reason, which will become
covered up by who?
It will become apparent if you stop challenging every fucking punctuation mark.
Oh dear.
The clique of elite scientists propagating the natural
I'm going to start
theory.
a count of elite scientists. We've had it about 12 times now.
I'm saying it with my tongue firmly in my arse.
Where it belongs.
The natural spillover theory, they've always had several problems on their hands, because despite an exhaustive 4-year search, there has been no intermediate animal host found. The closest natural relatives to SARS-2 are found in bats in Laos and in Yunnan province, over 600 miles away from Wuhan.
Hang on, just to check on that. What? They found COVID-19 in bats 600 kilometres away?
No, the closest relative to SARS-2 or COVID-19.
All right, yeah.
Not the actual virus itself. It's not been found in any animal. Two of the more popular arguments advanced by spillover fucking scientists is that the pandemic began at the wet market in Wuhan and that it jumped to humans from raccoon dogs. Are you aware of raccoon dogs?
No, sounds quite interesting. What's a raccoon? A raccoon is a monkey, isn't it?
I've never had the answer to this. And also pangolins.
Oh, we like pangolins.
What is a fucking pangolin?
Pangolin is one with a big nose, isn't it? Long nose.
Does it look good on a stick, like a kebab?
Oh, I think they do eat them, actually.
Yes, they do. That's the whole point.
Oh, is it? Oh, sorry.
But both of those theories have withered under scrutiny. The academic papers supporting both arguments have been hollowed out by fatal challenges to the underlying data, methods, or conclusions. To date, the natural spillover explanation for COVID-19 remains little more than a very distant theoretical possibility. The most obvious piece of incriminating evidence for the lab leak theory has always been the existence of a biolab in Wuhan, just miles away from the initial outbreak. And this wasn't just any old biolab. The Wuhan Institute of Virology, or WIV, was an advanced research facility studying coronaviruses that collaborated on publications and secret projects with China's military. And this wasn't just any old coronavirus research. The WIV was conducting the riskiest viral research in the world. Gain of function research of concern, which can make viruses more transmissible to humans, ostensibly in order to create vaccines, which we'll get into, was so risky, and the chance of causing an accidental pandemic was so great that the US government eventually banned funding for this research in 2014.
In America?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, US agencies continued funding this research at the WIV.
Oh, really? What?
Yes. Yes, they were quite happy to fund it in another country.
So hang on a second. This Wuhan lab thing, malarkey,
Yeah.
that actually was a Chinese government institute, was
Yes.
funded by the US government.
Yes, they worked in collaboration. They're fucking building biological weapons together. Why are you surprised?
Well, because you only 10 minutes ago were saying that everybody hated the Chinese, including the Americans. They were
No.
worried that the Chinese were getting too powerful.
It's a little bit more nuanced than that, isn't it?
Well,
You've
clearly.
got to get on with your enemies, but you can't allow them to become ever more powerful than you. So you keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
Yeah, but developing chemical warfare weapons together, it seems a little bit extreme if they're your arch enemy.
Yeah, but if you've got them and they've got them, it's like the nuclear deterrent. Nobody will use them for fear of being retaliated against with the same bloody weapon.
Yeah, but on that basis, are you saying that the Americans and the Russians collaborated on nuclear weapons?
Technically they did, and also the Nazis.
I think they borrowed, or they actually didn't borrow, they sequestered.
Operation Paperclip. They didn't sequester them, they fucking rented them. They paid them. Fucking wankers. But that's another episode.
All right, so anyway, so the big lie,
So hang on.
so I'm just summarising. So the big lie that we're talking about is your impression that it was always the lab, everybody always knew it was the lab,
It was.
and that was a big cover-up because why didn't they want people to know it was the lab?
Because they didn't want people to think that the virus was released, this allegedly deadly virus, which would have bodies piling up in the streets, was released by our own governments.
Oh, I see. So all right, so hang on a second. So the big lie, are you actually saying that it was released on purpose?
I wouldn't be in the least bit surprised.
That's not quite answering my question. What does the evidence suggest?
I don't know. I don't have evidence for that.
Okay.
But I would say that absolutely it was released on purpose.
All right. So the evidence you have that it was the lab
This
is
is coming
simply...
from congressional hearings, by the way.
Yeah.
It's not my evidence.
No, but the evidence is simply that we know the lab was researching this type of viral weapon,
Yes.
and it started in Wuhan.
Yes. That's
Well,
pretty
that's
conclusive.
It is, I would say. I mean, I would agree with you. I can't believe that we're in agreement as far as the...
We haven't started yet.
No, I don't. But the thing is that we'll see where you're going with this, because what you're doing is talking about
Yeah,
the
but look,
development of the virus by China, and then you're going on to say it was all a hoax.
yes, but
Yes,
it didn't
but-
end up as they expected it to. And stop doing a fucking what's his name on me, trying to make me out to be an idiot.
A gotcha.
No, not a gotcha. What's his name? That fucking wanker on LBC.
Oh, James O'Brien.
Oh yeah, no, but answer the question. But answer the question. But answer the question.
But what do you mean? That's his style as a journalist.
I'm not fucking stuttering. I'm trying to get a word in because every time I start a sentence, you interrupt. So I start it again. Now,
I'm
the
going to
decision
interrupt
fund,
in the
you're doing
one
it
and
again.
first and probably only time to say I completely agree with you. I think it's most likely it developed in Wuhan Chinese lab. There, I said it. We're in agreement.
Right. Now, the decision, I'm trying to get this going because we've got a lot to cover and you're not letting me move on. The decision by the US to keep funding it was very irresponsible. The US authorities had visited the WIV and found it to have wildly inadequate safety protocols. They later learned that the WIV was conducting virus research that theoretically could end human civilization in basically the equivalent of a dentist's office safety protocols. So that was pretty screwed up. Responded Dr. Ian Lipkin, who was an early proponent of natural spillover, but after learning of the WIV's safety protocols, he said, people shouldn't be looking at bats. My view has changed. As well it should, because just a few miles from ground zero of the scamdemic, in chronically unsafe conditions, a government lab collaborating with the Chinese military was doing extremely risky research, including on the closest known relatives of SARS-CoV-2.
Do you know how much the government gave, as a matter of interest? How much money did the US put into this lab?
I have no idea, but I would say it was tens of millions. If the COVID-19 pandemic wasn't the product of a lab leak, one might reasonably expect the Chinese government to provide a degree of cooperation with the international community, if for no other reason than to clear its name. But China, of course, did the exact opposite. It swiftly arrested doctors and whistleblowers and ordered labs to transfer or destroy any related viral samples, which is the actual right thing to do, in fact, destroy all samples, and not to publish any information related to the unknown disease. When the World Health Organization, another bunch of charlatans, requested to do an audit of the WIV in the wet market, China once again refused.
Was that after the pandemic?
Yeah, so, I mean, fuck off. Talk about shutting the door. Adding to the mystery, a few months before the acknowledged outbreak in December of 2019, several researchers inside the WIV became sick. The WIV changed its security protocols, ordered an expensive new air incinerator and ventilation system, and, in the middle of the night, mysteriously took down an online database of 22,000 virus samples. Let's not overlook also the fact that Beijing was inexplicably able to produce a vaccine in record time with a patent filed in February 2020. Most people believe that the timeline to create a vaccine is about 20 years.
Well, it's not, is it? I mean, that's silly.
To create and test a vaccine, it takes 20 years.
It's not 20 years.
It's not 20 fucking minutes, which is what AstraZeneca did, which we'll come to as well.
Yeah, but it's not 20 years, Andy.
It is. It's 10 to 20 years. You can't just release a vaccine. And we'll find out why.
Of course you can't just release a vaccine.
And we'll find out why later. In sum, rather than providing any semblance of cooperation or transparency, China acted pretty much exactly as you would expect from a paranoid communist country trying to cover up a lab leak.
But hang on a second. Any country would react in this. Are you saying US would be completely open and transparent?
I'm not saying that my research has been written in a non-biased fashion.
Right.
I can't sway other people's fucking bias. The list of giant red flags grew even longer with the discovery and examination of the Diffuse proposal, which was submitted to the Pentagon in 2018 by a group of organisations led by Peter Daszak and his EcoHealth Alliance.
And what's this about?
I can see the flag. Well, Under lab examination, SARS-2 was always a bit of a mystery, adorned with some quite peculiar characteristics. The virus appeared to be much better designed to target humans than animals, fully optimized for interaction with the human ACE2 receptor and consistent with a lab-organized coronavirus which entered the human population fully evolved with no mutations. An even more consequential peculiarity was the presence of a furin cleavage site, FCS, which has the unfortunate property of enhancing a virus's transmissibility. So the presence of an FCS was particularly puzzling because none of the over 1,500 varieties of subgenuses of SARS-2 has ever been found in nature with an FCS.
So what you're saying is that the virus was ready for human absorption. So rather than something like bird flu, which has to be mutated,
to be transmitted immediately from human to human.
Right.
For a while, it looked like the presence of an FCS in SARS-2 located at the S1, S2 boundary would remain a vexing, unsolved mystery. But then they learned the details of the $14 million diffuse proposal 1 year before the pandemic. Mr. Daszak and his collaborators requested funding from the Pentagon to conduct gain-of-function research at the WIV. Specifically, they proposed inserting an FCS into a coronavirus, precisely the never-before-seen characteristic present in SARS-2 that aided the virus's rapid transmission.
And sorry, the source of this 2018 request for funding, that is registered with some US, I mean, that's, you know.
It was an application to the Pentagon.
Okay. And what was this fellow's name? Daszak?
Daszak.
And where does he come from?
Zack. He's American, I'm guessing.
All right.
So, of the two possible theories, only one stands on top of the mountain of increasingly persuasive evidence. Natural spillover proponents have still sought to dismiss the damning indictment as merely a chain of misinterpreted coincidences, quite a long chain. The proximity of the WIV, the gain-of-function research, mysterious vaccines, the dentist office security protocols, the furin cleavage site, the deleted databases, the silenced doctors, the diffused proposal, the lack of an animal host are all just coincidences. Any one of them would have been a legitimate cause for inquiry and concern. A dozen of them, by the laws of probability and basic common sense, constitute nothing less than a smoking gun.
Did he get the money?
Yes. Which begs... Sorry. I must have COVID. Oh. Which begs a final question. How could this group of elite scientists...
Well, he's not very elite, is he, Daszak? 14 million is a drop in the ocean.
Yes, but how could they have gotten this paramount question so horribly wrong? And the answer, of course, is that they didn't. They weren't wrong. They were fucking lying.
What? Who was lying? What? Who? What?
The elite scientists who were insisting it was a natural occurrence. They were fucking lying. And
so we're still all right. We're still talking about the core, the start of it. Yeah.
Yes, but we're talking about the cause of why they're trying to convince people that it was a natural occurrence, and we're going to answer that now. We know from leaked internal communications that some of the same scientists most ardently dismissing the lab leak theory took one look at SARS-2 and concluded it was, in the words of biologist Christian Andersen, so fucking likely that the virus escaped from a Wuhan lab because they were already doing this type of work and the molecular data is fully consistent with that scenario. The virus was pre-adapted from the get-go. The presence of an unprecedented furin cleavage site kept scientist Bob Gary up all night. The SARS-2 genome was inconsistent with evolutionary theory. And a day after, some of the same scientists held a phone call with the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases head, and you might know this name, Dr. Anthony Fauci, and rapidly did an about face condemning the lab leak theory as a crackpot conspiracy and viciously attacking anyone questioning their fabricated consensus.
So, sorry, why was Fauci? I mean, he was the head of the CDC.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is that the scientists were pushing the
To cover
natural
up the lab leak.
to cover up the lab leak.
Yes. And their efforts to discredit the lab leak theory were aided substantially by EcoHealth Alliance President Peter Daszak. He had been involved personally in multiple collaborations with the Wuhan Institute of Virology. The now infamous diffuse proposal, which included a veritable blueprint for creating SARS-2. The experiments were so dangerous and the safety protocols so poor that Daszak intentionally sought to deceive the Pentagon by suggesting that the research would be conducted in the US and not China. Shockingly, even today, Daszak and the EcoHealth Alliance are still receiving tens of millions of dollars in US government research grants. After the scamdemic outbreak, Daszak conveniently avoided disclosing any personal connections to the research at the WIV, as he organised and co-drafted a letter in the Lancet to strongly condemn conspiracy theories suggesting that COVID-19 does not have a natural origin. So he was basically covering his own arse. The idea...
So as a matter of interest, who's protecting him?
He's protecting himself.
No,
But I mean,
if
obviously...
Elon Musk can't protect himself against people like Trump, how is it this fellow can't protect
Obviously,
himself?
the government has been funding this, more than one world government has been funding this research in Wuhan. So it's in everyone's interest to pretend that it's a fucking natural occurrence. Not our interest, obviously, because no one wants to know that our government are trying to build ways of trying to kill them. So anyway, this is what Daszak said. The idea that this virus escaped from a lab is just pure baloney.
He's
It's
not
simply
English,
not
is he?
true. He's not English, and that doesn't matter.
Do a pirate one instead.
The idea that this virus escaped from a lab is just pure baloney, me boy. It simply ain't true.
You can't joke about these sort of subjects.
You have
All
to
right,
laugh.
so-
You have to laugh about it because it's fucking so ridiculously diabolical.
But all of this that we're talking about is simply confirmation that it started in China and
yes,
that it was a cadre, did you say? A cadre of elite scientists
You have to
who
do
wanted that.
you
Can't
say
do
these
that.
scientists.
Who wanted it covered up because they were involved in the
Because they've
research.
got interest in the research, and it also doesn't look good on their government for financing the development of this fucking thing.
Well, funny enough, so far there is a certain consistent logic to what you're saying, but what we've got to get to is why.
Well, Dr. Fauci was also working overtime to deflect attention from the lab leak theory. He engaged in semantic games to insist that the US was not involved in funding dangerous gain-of-function research. It was. On several occasions, Fauci publicly argued the evidence very, very strongly that it leaned towards natural origin. It doesn't. Those
So are you
challenging
saying, sorry, just to double check, are you saying that Fauci
lied
was
and lied again.
to protect the government position?
And probably his own position. Those challenging Fauci were, and this is what he said on CBS, were really criticizing science because I represent science. He's one of yours. I'd
What do you
rather
mean?
believe an expert because they are an expert, whereas you are just a normal human being.
Well, yes, I still hold with that, actually.
Fauci also led an effort to brief other government agencies on COVID's origins, reportedly leaning on the intelligence community, the White House, and the State Department to conclude a lab-like was entirely unlikely. One whistleblower later claimed Fauci's opinion substantially altered the conclusions that were subsequently drawn.
But
Oddly,
you have to admit that most of his time was taken up by actually dealing with the virus rather than worrying too much about where it came from.
dealing with what?
Well, no, it was mine. Dealing with the consequences of the leak of the virus from the lab in China.
Every government, all they were concerned about was emptying the treasury into their own and their own friends' pockets and fucking robbing the people blind all over the world in the name of science. It was just a fucking scam from start to finish. How many businesses and lives were destroyed by the alleged fucking protective measures taken by your government?
Yeah, but I don't understand who's the beneficiary in this. Are you saying the government is the beneficiary, or these elite scientists were the benefit? Why did they do it?
It depends on which sort of benefit you're talking about. If you're talking about a monetary benefit, then you're talking about the friends of people in high places who made billions out of the scamdemic. Billions. People producing or providing absolutely worthless PPE from China by the billion to the NHS that ended up having to be burned because it was fucking useless.
Yeah, all of that I don't dispute. Absolutely correct. But what I'm trying to get to the bottom of is, if the whole thing was a conspiracy theory, it must have been masterminded by this group of elite scientists. So is this fellow Daszak, is he a multi-billionaire now? Because he was the one that masterminded.
He's just one of the players who was trying to cover up his own involvement in the Wuhan lab. There was more than just one, but we've only got an hour. I can't possibly explain COVID to you in an hour. It's just not possible.
I don't say more than a lifetime, actually.
Anyway,
conclusion, I accept it came from China.
The conclusion, if you look objectively at the presented evidence, is that people can now decide for themselves whether the natural origin theory represents the most implausible string of coincidences.
Box ticked.
Or if it's the lie of the century. And it is definitely the lie of the century. Now, We've sort of used up most of our time going into the origins. So I
don't mind doing this as a two-parter because it is a massive subject.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter if we do 201.
Well, we'll see. We've still got 10 minutes. We're not going to make it.
Yeah, well, we've only just started. But I would agree, if this is the lie of the century, that it started in China. I wouldn't say it was necessarily the lie of the century, but I agree with you. I think it started in China. I think it started in China.
Now, when the UK finally started imposing restrictions on their people, on their citizens, if you remember, they instigated lockdowns, curfews, social distancing, mask wearing, nappies on faces, all that nonsense. And then we kept getting stories of how politicians and celebrities were caught red-handed breaking the very restrictions that they were imposing on the people that they were supposed to be protecting. Let's talk about
I accept that.
The health secretary.
Boris Johnson.
Let's talk about
Matt
the
Hancock.
health secretary, Matt Hand on my cock. He admitted breaking social distancing rules after pictures had emerged of him shagging basically an
I don't think
aide,
he was shagging, cavorting.
cavorting on a desk in the office.
I don't think he was having sex with her. I think he was just
He was
heavy
definitely
petting.
having sex with her somewhere, but maybe not on camera.
No, that's right.
Dominic Cummings, if you remember, he did the drive to test his eyesight
Yes,
from
yeah.
fucking London to Aberdeen or something. It was a damn
Some
fine test.
castle. Some castle.
He caused outrage. That was in March 2020 when he travelled from London to Durham while suffering suspected COVID symptoms, which meant a runny nose, basically, which I have 90% of the time in this country. Despite immense pressure, Boris Johnson refused to sack him. There was also Margaret Ferrier, former SNP MP, and she was the MP for Rutherglen and Hamilton West, and she travelled from Scotland to London in September of 2020.
On a train.
Probably not. Or
Yeah, no, she was on a
maybe
train.
It was on a train.
Well,
that was-
symptomatic.
That was after showing symptoms, but again, symptoms, they didn't mean anything.
I would avoid belittling the symptoms because I know people that are still suffering from the disease. So
Are they
you
suffering
can say
from
it's
the
all not.
disease or are they suffering from the vaccine?
What, how can I possibly answer that question?
Exactly. You can't, and neither can anybody else.
No,
Because
but-
the
yeah.
vaccines themselves are controversial.
Yeah, but all vaccines are controversial. You've got the bloody US Health Secretary who's controversial. He says he thinks measles vaccine that's been around for 50 years should
The
be banned.
world-beating British vaccine from AstraZeneca was swiftly removed from the market when it was proved they were causing blood clots left, right and centre.
Yeah, but this is what I never understand. If you're administering a vaccine to, in England, 63 million people, I mean, what are the chances of there not being any side effects if you administer it to 63 individual physiologies?
But to withdraw that from public use must
Yeah,
have
because
meant
it got
that the side
above the-
effects were extraordinary.
Yeah, and so they did the right thing.
No, they did the
withdrew
wrong
it.
thing by giving it to people in the first place without
Well,
proper testing.
Yeah, but that's based on the assumption.
And,
What do
and
you mean,
also,
no?
while we're on the subject of vaccines, what kind of
Why are
vaccine
you
needs to
shouting?
have a booster every fucking 10 minutes? How many people had 6 fucking vaccines? It's just a scam, mate. It doesn't work. It never worked.
No, but
It did nothing.
you're completely disregarding whether it improved the overall outcome or
It
not.
certainly didn't, because there was
How do you know that?
because people died from it, and they suffered.
Exactly, but you see, this is the ridiculous thing. Now you're saying people died for it, and 10 minutes ago you were saying the whole thing was a scam.
Yes,
And what did they die of then?
They died from the vaccine, which was another way
Oh,
of
I
making
see. So,
billions out of fucking.
oh, I see. So,
Out
can
of
you
the
explain?
pandemic.
Yeah, but can you explain to me all of those millions of people that died before the vaccine was even introduced?
Yes,
Before they started taking the vaccine,
yes,
hundreds of thousands of people were
yes.
dying.
And 90% of them were over the age of 80, and they didn't die of COVID. They died with COVID. If you got hit by a bus in England during those years, you were put down as a COVID death. It's
So
a fucking fact.
What explains the enormous jump in death rate then? What explains that ridiculous peak where
I can
people, and of
tell
course
you,
it's
I'm trying to tell you,
80-year-olds.
I'm trying to tell you,
Yes.
people were not allowed to go and see the doctor. People were dying left, right, and centre. Friends of mine died because they could not see a fucking doctor. They had cancer. They could not get access to treatment. They were treatable until they weren't, and they died.
But I'm not disputing that happened, but it still doesn't explain the enormous peak or jump in death rate.
Well, look at the way that the government shut down the healthcare to old people's homes. They shut down access to medicine to most of the old people in the country, and it was mostly old people who died. And that has definitely got a correlation.
Yeah, but the reason why most elderly people died early is because elderly people are vulnerable, more vulnerable than healthy young people.
But
So of
they were
course they're
being
going to
denied.
die.
They were being denied the health care that would normally keep them alive for longer.
But in fact, the opposite was true. They were being released back into the old people's home without the safety nets that should have been in place because of the virus.
They were being.
That was what they were transmitting back to the old people's home.
They
They
were
weren't
being-
transmitting cancer back to the old people's homes, were they?
Look, we were talking about the politicians breaking the rules. You were
And
going to
I
go off on a.
completely agree with
You
that.
could go off on a tangent.
No, all I asked
every
you
step
to
of
do.
this way.
No, all I asked you to do was tone down the bit where you're saying COVID was just a runny nose, when I know lots of people that have been affected for years afterwards, and you must know people who died of COVID. I do.
I don't know anyone who died of COVID. I know of people who died with COVID, but they didn't die of COVID. COVID never killed anybody on its own.
COVID never killed. So are you saying all of the media stations, all of those hospital pictures, all of those scenes of people on ventilators, that was all made up? That was all literally made up.
That's people with internal organs breaking down due to other reasons or due to some already existent condition that has been exacerbated by COVID.
Up until a few minutes ago, I was.
We're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, but you can't belittle people, the reality that was evident in front of your eyes.
I'm not saying that nobody died during this scamdemic. I'm just saying that the whole thing was exaggerated and overreacted to. The measures that were imposed on people were fucking draconian and unnecessary.
Yeah, but I might agree with that, actually. Yeah, that I might agree with.
I can't, you can't ask me to explain every person's death in the last 6 years. That's unreasonable and ridiculous.
Yeah, and I'm not asking you to. All I was asking you to was to explain why was there 100,000 jump in deaths. And you said it was because they didn't get access to the doctors.
I can tell you that definitely attributed a large number because you couldn't access healthcare.
All right, so tone that element down. I agree with the politicians. I almost agree with the overreaction.
Right.
Evidenced by
Sweden. So let's go back to
obviously.
Margaret Ferrier. Otherwise, because I've got so much to get through.
So I think we need 201.
She got on a train to Scotland, and then after getting a positive test result, she got on a train back.
Yeah. She lost her job.
She had the whip removed and apologised, but she still remains an independent MP.
They voted her back in, did they?
Yep. Now, do you remember Professor Neil Ferguson, who was on the TV every night?
Hang on. Are we going to go back? Sorry, just very quickly. Are we going to go back to Hancock's barman?
Yeah, we'll go back to Hancock.
Yeah, because that's important. This is where I agree with you. It was a complete load of bollocks how they managed it. There's no doubting that. So he's going to get a mention.
We're going to talk about
Hancock's barman is going to get a mention.
We're going to talk about Boris as well.
All right. So what was his name? The chief medical officer?
Neil Ferguson. The Imperial
No, that
College.
wasn't him.
No, but can I talk about Neil Ferguson? I can't just go to as you've got a question. We'll never get this.
Go for it. Neil Ferguson.
He was an advisor to the government, and he was revealed to have been visited at home by his lover on at least 2 occasions in March and April 2020. He resigned from his position on the 6th of May, admitting an error of judgment. And at the time, Hancock, who was at that particular time undiscovered, said he was speechless at Ferguson's behaviour. And then he went on to shag his secretary in the adjoining office.
It wasn't his secretary, but it nearly was. Now, what was it? Chris Sissy or something? What was his name? Whitty.
Twitty. It was Chris Whitty.
Chris
He was a
Whitty.
wanker. He was a wanker. There was the singer Rita Ora. The singer Rita Ora, who was criticised for throwing her 30th birthday party, which was attended. This is how ridiculous it got, right? It was her 30th birthday party, and she hired out a restaurant and had a party attended by 17 people. And she was criticised. Fuck off. Seriously. It later emerged that she should have been in self-isolation after returning from Egypt.
What is quite shocking is when you actually think back, and I remember travelling because, you know, Mum became unwell during the pandemic.
Yes, I know. You suffered
Travelling
personally from this nonsense.
And the shocking thing was, when going to Arlanda Airport, there was just half a terminal open. The car parks were unused. Well, it was just amazing the disruption that we had to endure. And we lived in Sweden at the time. In England, it was far worse.
Had zero restrictions.
Not quite, but
compared to
pretty
the
much.
rest of the fucking world.
Compared to the rest of the world, yes. Yeah.
Now, Scotland's chief medical officer, Dr. Catherine Calderwood, she was forced to quit her role after she was found to have twice visited her second home on the coast of Fife.
God damn
Because
it.
why should she have to stay home?
I mean, I find these things sort of mildly amusing, but
They
are
are amusing.
a
but
drop
they're also-
a drop in the ocean compared to what other things that were going on.
Oh, yeah.
The fraud.
Yes. But, I mean, it's important that we look at what was happening behind the scenes while the rest of the country was being told to either stay at home or get arrested for being outside your own front door. The Conservative Party leader Jackson Carlaw said that her stepping down had been the right thing to do because there cannot be one rule for the bosses and another one for everybody else. Do you remember Robert Jenrick, the housing secretary?
He is an arse. He's still in government. He's still in not in government, in opposition.
Well, he visited his parents' home in Shropshire. He said he dropped off food and medication and didn't enter the house. He's a fucking liar.
Barnard Castle.
He's a fucking liar. That was
Cummings.
Yeah, Cummins, Dominic. His behaviour for dropping off food and medication was cleared by Boris Johnson, whose spokesperson said, "We're confident that he complied with the social distancing rules." There was some criticism of Jenrick from backbench Tories who anonymously called for his resignation, but of course nothing happened. The Isle of Wight MP, Bob Seeley, he appeared to break lockdown rules at a barbecue, also attended by the chairman of the Brexit Party and political journalists. Seeley went to the gathering hosted by Spectator magazine's deputy editor Freddie Gray in the village of Seaview in May 2020. He said that he was unaware that anybody else would be present at the barbecue. Because why would they be?
No, why would who goes to a barbecue?
When he arrived for a meeting and he followed social distancing guidance at all times. You fucking lying bunch of sack of shits. Fucking hate them all. Now, our own government in office at the time, in a photo from May 2020, you could see the Prime Minister and his staff enjoying bottles of wine and a cheese board in the Downing Street garden.
Champagne, actually, wasn't it?
Well, when asked about it, Boris Johnson replied, "These people were at work talking about work." Now, fuck off, Johnson.
Wasn't that where they broke the swing, the kiddies' swing? What's the white?
That's right,
That was the one.
Because they were drunkenly pushing each other on the swing.
Exactly.
Legal restrictions at that time said you couldn't leave your house without a reasonable excuse. Government guidance was that you could meet one person outside of your household in an outdoor setting whilst exercising. Fucking nonsense. On the 20th of May 2020, about 100 people were invited by email, 100 people, mind, to socially distanced drinks in the number 10 garden.
That's right. I remember that.
100 people standing 3 meters apart.
Yeah, it would
That's
have
a
taken
big
up half
fucking
of
garden.
I was going to say, that would have been Buckingham Palace garden.
Witnesses told the BBC that the Prime Minister and his wife were among those who attended. Mr. Johnson apologised for attending the event, saying he only spent 25 minutes there, thanking his staff before returning to his office to continue his work. The police investigation into this determined that the event did breach the rules in place at the time, but of course, no action was taken. A gathering also took place in the Cabinet Office to mark the departure of a number 10 private secretary on June 2020, 18th. The police investigation determined that that event also breached the rules, but again, so what? On the 19th of June 2020, the next day, it was Johnson's birthday, and up to 30 people gathered in the Cabinet Room to present the Prime Minister with a birthday cake and sing happy birthday.
Yep.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday
Boris.
to you, Boris. Now, number 10 staff had gathered.
He survived
briefly.
that.
Yes. They had gathered briefly.
He survived. Politically, he survived.
Yes, I know. They had gathered to wish him a happy birthday, adding that he had been there for less than 10 minutes. So,
That's okay.
restrictions at that time banned indoor gatherings involving more than 2 people. The police investigation determined that this event did breach the rules. So what? Nothing happened.
Oh, no, yeah, well, actually, they were fined 60 quid.
Oh, yeah, they got a parking ticket. 3 of them.
No, yeah, you're right. He got a criminal record for it.
I'm not sure that Boris got a fine, did he?
Yeah, Boris did.
Oh, yeah,
and
actually-
Rishi Sunak.
Boris is Mrs. the strange-looking one, Carrie Simmons, and Sunak all confirmed they paid fixed penalty notices.
Yeah, I
Probably
think
from
it
the
was,
tax
no,
office.
might have been 80 quid. I can't
Probably on
remember.
expenses, though. Now,
Maybe.
on the 13th of November, when Dominic Cummings finally left, 2 gatherings are understood to have taken place in Downing Street. One to mark the departure of a special advisor and one in the Downing Street flat. Now, Dominic Cummings, I believe, didn't attend either of them because he was photographed leaving with a box outside the back door, if I remember correctly. He snuck out.
Schnucked out, yeah.
Now, according to a report in the Daily Telegraph, the gathering in the flat where Johnson and his wife lived was to celebrate the departure of Dominic Cummings, his former senior advisor. A spokesman for Mrs. Johnson denies that party took place. Another lie. And this was after 8 days earlier, Johnson announcing a new lockdown in England. Indoor gatherings with other households were banned. And the police investigation determined that an event on this date did breach the rules, but it did not confirm whether it was one or both of the events.
I wonder if there's actually been a conclusion as to the Swedish method versus the rest of Europe method. If it improved the situation or
no one is
didn't do
ever
anything.
going to release that information because the world would be up in arms.
Well, you can see it on worldpopulation.com. You can see death rates updating on a live basis.
Now, on the 27th of November 2020, a leaving event was held for number 10 aide Cleo Watson, where people were drinking and Mr. Johnson made a speech. But this event was not investigated by the police. And on the 10th of December, same year, the Department for Education confirmed that it had an office gathering on this date to thank staff for their work during the pandemic. It said drinks and snacks were bought by those who attended, and no outside guests or support staff were invited. Do you remember the photograph of the person carrying a fucking dolly full of booze up the road to number 10 Downing Street?
It was when you say a dolly, it was a briefcase. It was
pallet
it was
truck.
it wasn't.
Pallet truck.
Was it?
It was. It was one of those.
I thought it was a suitcase. I thought it was a suitcase on wheels. Two suitcases on wheels.
They were just so fucking. Oh. Anyway, the Conservative Party admitted also that on the 14th of December 2020, an unauthorised gathering took place at its headquarters. It was held by the team of the party's London mayoral candidate, Sean Bailey, who later stepped down as chair of the London Assembly Police and Crime Committee. Investigated by police, they said there was insufficient evidence that any crime took place. Multiple sources.
By the way, Andy, we're an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah, but I don't want to go. We're going to just do an elongated episode.
Oh, are we?
Yeah, I don't want to go 2 episodes because I'm stressed already.
Oh, all right.
But on the 15th of December 2020, they had a Christmas quiz for the number 10 staff. Jolly. A photo published by the Sunday Mirror showed Johnson taking part and sitting between 2 colleagues in number 10. Mr. Johnson denied any wrongdoing. At this time, the rules in London banned 2 or more people from different households meeting indoors unless reasonably necessary for work purposes. But I mean, a quiz is obviously necessary.
Absolutely.
The DOT apologised after confirming reports of a party in its offices on the 16th of December. On the 17th of December, a leaving party was held at the Cabinet Office for the outgoing head of the Civil Service COVID Task Force, the team responsible for drawing up the restrictions. Kate Josephs, who is now, by the way, Chief Executive of Sheffield City Council, apologised for the event, saying she was truly sorry that she did this and for the anger that people will feel as a result. A second gathering was held in the Cabinet Office for an online Christmas quiz for the Cabinet Secretary's private office, and a third gathering was held in number 10 to mark the departure of a Downing Street official. On the 18th of December 2020, Stratton caught on video. Downing Street originally denied a report by the Daily Mirror that a party took place at all in Downing Street. However, a video obtained by ITV showed the Prime Minister's then Press Secretary, Allegra Stratton, joking about reports of the event, saying, "This fictional party was a business meeting and it was not socially distanced." Oh. Mrs. Stratton,
I remember her.
actually resigned because she had no fucking choice.
No, but she was the only one to resign
that
episode.
When you're caught on camera mocking the restrictions imposed on the rest of the country while you're fucking having a party, you really got very little choice. No one would stand for her refusing to resign.
Yeah, they all should have resigned. But
they should have been
was
put
the
in
only
prison, not just resigned. How dare you lock up the rest of the country and then throw away the key and then go and have a party? So she did resign, saying that she would regret the remarks for the rest of her days. Well, yeah, of course.
It's amazing how much of this stuff I remember.
Now. Well, this is the worst one. 2 parties were held by Downing Street staff on the 16th of April 2021. One of the events was a leaving party for the Prime Minister's then Director of Communication, James Slack, who apologised for the event and acknowledged it shouldn't have happened at the time it did. And the reason this was one of the worst ones is because the 16th of April was the day before the funeral of Prince Philip.
Oh, that's right, I remember.
Where the Queen was pictured on her own in Westminster Abbey wearing a mask with nobody around her at the funeral service for her husband that she'd been married to for 182 years. And that was one of the most disgusting fucking things that I've ever come across in my life.
I remember that.
Downing Street, though, did apologise to Buckingham Palace, so that's okay then.
So
That was the
it's
most
amazing that,
disgraceful, disgusting, despicable thing I'd ever witnessed.
but again, Johnson survived
Yeah,
politically.
yeah.
They all did. In fact, I think that woman who you suggest, who mentioned resigned, I think she was the only one to resign in the whole
I know
thing.
everybody was hanging on for dear life to their fucking jobs.
Anyway, I want more of Hancock's barman. I want to know why he earned 23 million.
Well,
Because personally, I think as I say, the fraud, the depth of fraud, that Countess Moon or whatever her name was.
oh, I mean,
all
there
of
was
those
there was
people.
fraud everywhere. Yeah, it was his former pub, the Cock Inn at Thurlow, and
That's it, the Cock Inn.
and it was
Hancock.
an acquaintance and former neighbour of Matt Hancock. As a barman, ended up supplying the government with tens of millions of vials for NHS COVID-19 tests, despite having had no previous experience of producing medical supplies.
Yeah.
Alex Bourne, who used to run a pub close to Hancock's former constituency, said he initially offered his services to the UK Health Secretary several months ago by sending him a personal WhatsApp message. I can imagine how it was worded. Matt, is there any way I can make a few quid out of this nonsense? Matt,
Yeah, no, you're right.
Matt replies, absolutely. Cut me in for 20% and I'll give you a contract today.
No, but that's the incredible thing, that no one has been brought to justice or task about all of that.
Well,
absolutely ridiculous. That VIP lane, it was just a license to fraudulently print money.
His company at the time was producing plastic cups and takeaway boxes for the catering industry. But it ended up supplying about 2 million medical grade vials a week to the government via a distributor contracted by the NHS.
Yeah.
Bourne categorically denied that he profited from his personal contact with Hancock. However, that's a lie, because
he made 23 million.
How did you WhatsApp him if you didn't have personal contact with him?
Oh, you mean he didn't? He claims he made the money with his
He claims it had nothing to do with Matt Hancock.
Yeah.
Which is absolute bollocks.
Yeah.
He also participated in an industry Zoom meeting in August of that year, attended by Hancock, Boris Johnson, and several dozen other suppliers in the COVID test and trace program, which was just basically a big, we're going to give you this contract, we're going to give you this contract, we're going to give you this contract. Is everybody happy with their contracts? Okay, then go and have a party, don't tell anybody, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Track and trace, how much did that cost? 37 billion.
God. And what was it, 45 billion that they invested into an app? An app?
Yeah, I think it was 37 billion.
An app you can make for free. It's so ridiculous. 40 billion.
Who's been brought to justice about that?
Nobody. The whole thing was just ridiculous. It hurts my eyes to read this. It offends me. There was so much corruption and nastiness going on.
Moon. Let's talk about Moon. She was a popular one. Medicaid. No, not Medicaid. What was the name of her company that she set up with her husband?
Providing PPE.
Providing PPE that sat in a warehouse and proved to be unsuitable.
Billions, not just millions.
I don't think they made billions, but they did billions with the business, maybe. She's still a baroness.
Baroness Moon.
Yeah, exactly. Baroness Moon. I mean, she has been a little bit disgraced, but I don't think she's bothered on the super yacht that she bought recently.
Yeah, Michelle Moon.
Made her money in bras, as I remember.
Well, she built her empire, her business empire and public profile through the British media. She was
what was that?
Basically a brilliant self-publicist. and was regularly described as one of the UK's most successful businesswomen. And it was the Ultimo bra concept.
But God, I can't remember the name of the husband's company. No. Anyway, I can't. Anyway, whatever the weather.
But she was stripped of the Conservative whip.
Oh, that must have really hurt.
Yes, but I'm sure she's got plenty more in her bedroom. The rise and fall of Michelle Mone begins in 1999 as the then 28-year-old talked her way into Selfridges in London in a deal to sell her gel-filled Ultimo bra, which is basically false advertising.
As far as you're concerned.
Well, it is, isn't it, really? I mean, born, in her own words, into nothing, she was raised in the Denniston area of Glasgow. Left school at 15 with no qualifications. Friends at the time described her hard work ethic as energy and bubbly. No matter where you're from, look at me, you can do it, she would later say. She worked as a model. Yeah, right. They didn't have OnlyFans in those days. And a ring girl at boxing matches, and moved into promotions and sales before setting up MJM International with her husband Michael. They did actually mortgage the house and went into debt developing the Ultimo bra, and that's when Mone turned up unannounced at Selfridges.
Yeah, but we're not interested in that. What we're interested in is the scandalous extraction of money from the government for the PPE thing.
Okay. In 2020, as the pandemic struck, UK ministers sought out firms to urgently supply PPE, even setting up, as we know, a VIP lane to give priority to certain suppliers who had their personal.
Well, that was it. But it wasn't.
Yeah. And
the ridiculous thing was, and I can give you.
Go on.
Carry on.
Okay.
I was going to say, I can actually give it because.
You said go on.
Oh, you carry
talking.
on then. You carry on.
Oh my God. A company called PPE MedPro made it onto this VIP list, and that caught the eye of campaigners
MedPro, that was it.
who were concerned that firms on the list were run by people with connections to the Conservative Party, and it emerged that PPE MedPro was controlled by people connected to Doug Barrowman. Mone, a Conservative peer, repeatedly denied any involvement in the business. I'm guessing that's her husband.
Yep.
Or the subsequent profits. Yeah, right. And my husband might be a millionaire, but I'm not. Mone, a Conservative peer. Oh, yeah, I've done that bit. But The Guardian uncovered a connection. They said they did their own Freedom of Information request, and they got the emails that she'd sent to Michael Gove and Lord Agnew saying that she was offering to supply PPE through My Team in Hong Kong and that it had gone through the VIP lane. They also had WhatsApp messages in which she had sent info about PPE deals and said she was sitting on the jet and it was about to take off, which we can only assume was her private plane.
Privat jet.
The National Crime Agency launched an investigation into PPE MedPro, and several of the couple's properties were raided. 2 years into his investigation, David Conn received a leaked document showing Barrowman, her husband, made at least 65 million quid from the deals, with 29 million of this paid into a trust, of which Michelle Mone and her 3 adult children are beneficiaries. Throughout this time, Michelle Mone was uncharacteristically quiet.
Yep.
But that changed at the end of 2023 when she and Barrowman, by then married, released a PPE MedPro funded documentary. Oh, they made their own fluff piece.
They did.
In which
literally.
she admitted being a conduit between the company and ministers. They also agreed to appear on the BBC Sunday with Laura Kussenberg programme. And on camera, Mone did admit that she could one day benefit from the trust but said that they had done nothing wrong.
No, but that's the staggering thing. Under the Johnson government, they didn't do anything wrong.
No, they actually just took
It was
advantage
completely legal.
of the rules made by their friends and cronies. When asked about lying to the press,
What did they
she
used to
just
call
said,
the people in...
people who what?
Sorry, there's a bit of a delay. What were the people in the Second World War who profiteered off the war? What were they called? They were called something.
Racketeers, black marketeers.
Could have been. There was a special... Anyway, there was no better than that. That's literally what they were doing.
Yeah, they were carpetbaggers, basically.
Hmm.
Yeah, when asked about lying to the press, her response was, "That is not a crime." Saying to the press,
Yeah.
"I'm not involved to protect my family," can I just make it clear, is not a crime. When she said that, though, she basically created her own headline. Yeah.
And still walking the streets, still enjoying the money. Did he pay any of it
actually,
back?
PPE MedPro is still under investigation, and the government is suing the company for 122 million plus costs, claiming
good.
that the medical gowns the company supplied did not comply with the specification of the contract.
Yep. Yeah.
Of course they didn't, because they were made of fucking paper. But I mean, that's just one story or two stories of people profiteering with the government's full cooperation from the public purse, the billions and billions that was stolen from the British people alone, and probably every other country on the planet, under the guise of keeping you safe. We could also talk about the businesses that were forced to close and people being made redundant due to constant lockdowns, opening of businesses, closing of businesses, being allowed to sell liquor, not being allowed to sell liquor, being allowed to go to a concert, not being allowed to go to a concert, being allowed to go to a pub, but only until 8 o'clock on a Wednesday. Oh my God, it was never ending. They just destroyed businesses all over the country.
Now, I know I'm not allowed to do research before a programme. Am I allowed to do research after a programme?
Yes.
Because I would like to know if the actual outcome, as far as Sweden was concerned, was better than other European countries. And the reason why Sweden's interesting is because they were the only ones who never instigated a lockdown.
Yeah.
They had social distancing rules, but they never had a lockdown.
Yeah, but the social distancing wasn't welcomed by Swedes, because when the social distancing was lifting, most Swedes were relieved because it meant they could go back to their normal 5 meters.
Yes, you're right.
Being 3 meters apart was very uncomfortable for
It's a
them.
natural thing of Swedes to keep at least 5 meters apart. So lockdown was actually an imposition for the opposite reason. They had to come 2 meters apart.
Anyway.
No, but I am interested to hear. So that's amazing, Andy. The main thrust of your story today, I actually agree with.
Yeah, I mean,
Isn't that amazing?
It's a very hard subject to talk about without being sidetracked or going off on tangents, because there's so much to it. I mean, you could literally do a whole podcast series on the coronavirus.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it went on for 2 years, for God's sake, so I'm not surprised.
Technically, it's still going on today. The only reason it fell out of favour with the media, thank God, was that my mate Putin invaded the Ukraine, and that put an end to the coronavirus. It literally stopped the day Putin invaded the Ukraine.
now I have to challenge that.
It
There's
did.
complete
It did. It completely fell out of the news, 100%. I remember talking about it at the time. I said, look, Putin has cured COVID. No more fucking COVID. It just went from COVID to Ukraine, 100%.
You never got COVID, did you?
No, of course not.
You didn't.
And neither did most people I know.
Well, I did.
Yeah, but your test is inconclusive. You took
What do you mean I
test.
lost my taste? How many other experiences have you had where you lose your taste?
I've never had taste. Look at my shirt.
Right. No, but I mean, seriously, I mean, that set it apart from everything else, because I've
Yes.
never, ever experienced and that was a common symptom of a
but
lot of people.
that's just a symptom of an illness. I mean, it wasn't deadly to you.
Well, I didn't die, no.
No. It was-
And I haven't. Well, I don't know. Maybe I have
and
suffered
also,
lasting effects of the
you'd
vaccine.
also taken the poison, hadn't you?
No, but I just said, and I am obviously in your mind one of the lucky few who never actually suffered any consequences
I mean,
from the vaccine.
you were taking a risk by getting yourself injected. I understand why you did it. I wouldn't. I would not. I just wouldn't.
Well, that's fair enough. But you would take other vaccines.
Yeah, but they've been tested and proven for years. This was thrust upon an unsuspecting population with the promise that it was going to save your life, and it was a lie.
Well, it wasn't going to save you. It was to reduce the symptoms. But
Yeah,
anyway,
I mean,
yeah.
that is such a fucking incongruous qualification. Oh, if you take this, it will reduce your symptoms. Fucking prove it. You can't. You cannot.
Well, of course you
prove
can't. Though, in fact, just to support unbelievably evidence for your side of the story, one thing that I always remember, what I found ridiculously shocking, was the main thrust of the vaccine promotion was to slow down the transmission of the virus to other people. And then, a year after the pandemic, that Pfizer representative scientist was being interviewed, and she said, "We never said it was going to reduce transmission." So one of the main thrusts of the reason for taking it, they admitted was complete nonsense, and that was never the intention.
The whole thing was just a money-making exercise for Big Pharma. As usual. The billionaires got richer, the poor people got poorer. And this is an emotive subject, as is evidenced by the tantrums and the...
What do you mean I'm done tantrums?
No, but me. I mean,
Yeah,
I
you
feel
have.
very strongly about the way we were fooled or attempted to be fooled. I mean, and some people I actually fell out with because I was poo-pooing the social distancing and the mask wearing, and I was called all sorts of conspiracy theories. And I fell out with some friends of mine because I refused to be one of these fucking sheeple who takes the expert's word as gold. It's just nonsense.
No, but they can't have been very good friends, Andy, because if they were a good friend, they would know you're a complete fucking idiot.
The thing is now...
To take what you say seriously...
The thing is now, when I'm proved mostly right, they're embarrassed to fucking backtrack. Because they've had their 8 vaccines, and I've had 0, and I'm still here. It didn't do me any harm not getting
No
the
one
poison.
took 8 vaccines. I think
Do
3,
you know they're
wasn't
still
it?
advertising for your boosters today?
No, that's for the elderly. That's for people over 70.
Don't do it. Just don't do it. Fucking hell. You don't need it. It's nonsense. They're trying to get rid of the surplus of broken vaccines that they sold or bought from Big Pharma 5 years ago, because now they've got 3 billion vials that they need to get rid of.
Can I just say, Andy, that to have a serious conversation with you when you are wearing a shirt such as you're wearing, but what's more shocking and may not have been
When I'm
seen
dressed
by
as
the
a
viewers,
cow, you mean?
that you've got shorts to match. Yes.
And I camouflage into my chair.
You do, literally. If your head was just a little bit whiter, you'll disappear completely.
Yeah. Well, anyway, this brings us to the end of episode 200.
4 years. Are we calling it a day? Is that what you're building up to? I've had enough.
I think we have to.
We're calling it a
Because
day.
otherwise we'll end up not making 401 because I'll be calling you fuck off and you'll be calling me a complete cunt.
No, 201, not 401.
Yeah,
it's
sorry.
4 years.
It's 4 years.
4 years.
Episode 201 next week. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, if you've managed to make it this far, we appreciate you listening. Sorry if it got a bit heated. It's a subject that's very close to my heart. I hate governments scamming people. They scammed the whole world with this one. I appreciate people did get sick. I appreciate some people died, but what they did to the rest of us was fucking criminal. Anyway, thanks for
Well
listening.
said.
We appreciate you listening. and we hope
Very
to see
much.
you for episode 201, and maybe even for the next 4 years. Let's see how it goes.
Oh God, no! Please, no!
We need your help and we need your support to make that happen. So if you're listening, we'll be talking. So we'll see you next week. In the meantime, have yourselves a strange week. And if your government announce any kind of scamdemic, tell them to fuck off, honestly. Bye for now.
Cheerio.